Hello, everyone. Welcome, friends, to Quantum Wealth Consciousness. I am your host and the producer of this event. Oops. Hello, friends. Welcome, everyone, to Quantum Wealth Consciousness. I am your host and the producer of this event, Helena Grant, and I am truly, truly honored to welcome all of you, opening the doors to this week of an extraordinary experience for you to engage with these thought leaders and wisdom keepers to help you reframe, restructure your concept of wealth, and to really engage with your life in a whole new way. And I am just so delighted to be welcoming you here. So please take a moment to pop into the chat. Tell me your name, where you are located. I would love to welcome you. Hello, Sonia. Welcome. Good morning. I just love to know where everyone is in the world. It is always just so amazing to me what we can do now with modern technology to connect with one another and to so instantaneously in these accelerated times be together in this space. So please tell me your name and where you are. Hello, Anne in Colorado. Welcome. Anne is actually my confirmation name. Hello, Claire in Italy. Hello, Barbara in Nova Scotia. Susan in London. Hello. Bonjour, Saz à Paris. Bienvenue. Hello, Barbara in the Netherlands. Sonia from Massachusetts, Jessica in California. Jessica, good morning. Manuela from Italy. And oh my goodness, Ferry in the Netherlands, Rose in Australia, Elizabeth in Germany, Doris from Texas, Stacy from Maine, Jen from Alabama. Hello, Tracy from Arizona, Eileen in Orange, New Jersey, Lauren Rose à Paris aussi. Hello, Lauren Rose. Oh my goodness, I'm just feeling so much beautiful energy coursing through me, welcoming all of you. Thank you so much for being here. And please continue to share your name and where you are in the chat. And as you do so, I invite all of us who are here now to take a moment to close the eyes and join me in taking just a few breaths and closing the eyes and pausing in this way and taking a moment to take in the breath. We breathe in the aliveness of this moment. So a nice deep inhale through the nose all the way deep into the belly. And exhaling again through the nose, sinking into your seat, relaxing, tuning into your body, into the aliveness of this moment, arriving here fully. And let's take another breath. I'm going to do one at my own pace and quietly. I invite you to do the same. Feels so good to breathe so frequently. Again, in our accelerated times, we forget to breathe. We hold our breath, we increase the tension, and we can so quickly lose ourselves and disconnect from our bodies. Our head goes up, our body goes down, and that breath is this wonderful connection between these two miraculous aspects of ourselves. And when we connect the mind and the body, so much magic happens. So many good things happen. So thank you for joining me in that breath. And again, thank you so much for being here today for Mother Money, 3 keys to reclaim the feminine and magnetize wealth. So before we get started, I want to do a little introduction. I'm going to extend an invitation to you. I have a presentation for you with some slides, and I am also going to be taking questions at the end. So I invite you to close the tabs on your computer and silence your phone have some water, some tea nearby, and definitely something to write with, because there are some concepts that I'm going to share, some ideas that are going to challenge you, inspire you, and again, just give you an illuminated view of money. So again, I'm Helena Grant. I'm a transformational life and business coach. I'm a certified existential kink practitioner, a registered yoga teacher, 200-hour certified, as well as a certified soulful summit creation expert. So I love to teach my clients how to put on global events such as Quantum Wealth Consciousness. And with Quantum Wealth Consciousness, we are moving towards a radiant economy, which is information that I received in the liminal space. So I do a lot of my work here on the material conscious waking plane with my students and my clients, and I receive a lot of information in the dreamscape as well as in the liminal realm. So it's very frequently in between the sleeping state and the waking state. And moving towards a radiant economy was information given to me this past November in that liminal space. And so this whole week, we're going to be exploring what that means and also building that radiant economy, which is really so much more than just the exchange of goods, which is what we think of when we hear the word economy. Economy also has a theological definition. It means the divine plan for humanity, from birth to redemption to final beatitude. And beatitude means bliss, ecstasy, just total supreme bliss. That is beatitude. So that is at the essence of this word economy. And when we think of radiating, we think of the sun that just has endless love and power and warmth and ability to just continuously give. So yes, I am. You also may realize very quickly, I am, in addition to being a transformational life coach and having all these certifications, I am an absolute logophile. I love words. I love language. Oh my goodness. Language is so magical to me. Even saying the word language, I get chills. Words have so much meaning in them. They connect us to one another, to ourselves, and to our past and to our future. To me, words are pharmacon as well. They can give us medicine. When we read something that brings us somewhere else, that inspires us, we feel healed, we feel inspired. And I was a creative writing major in college. So in my soul, I am a writer and also a French double major. So I lived in France multiple times. I like to say that I was born in America, but my soul is from France. And so much of our language, we're all connected through the Romance languages. You think of that tree. And so a lot of the presentation today on Mother Money will be getting into that aspect of etymology. Where do words come from? Where does the meaning come from? How does it relate to other languages and to what our current concepts and interpretations are of these words and these concepts? So that was a big part of, you'll notice me referring to my notes here. I am very analog. I love to hand write my notes. And I often, when I am writing, I start with handwriting and then I transcribe and then do the typing. I am very old school in that way. I just love the experience of the pen on the paper and the ink flowing through. And that really connects us to a different aspect of our brain. It's a very different experience to type the letter A on the keyboard than it is to handwrite the letter A, pen and paper. And I love having so many options to how we can express ourselves, how we can explore who we are, but that is a big part of my experience. I am also a mother. In addition to all of this work that I do in the world, I have a beautiful 7-year-old daughter and a 5-month-old son. So I am a very, very busy person. And I want to now extend this invitation to you as we move into the presentation of Mother Money, three keys to reclaiming the feminine to magnetize wealth, that I am going to be presenting a new lens for you, a new lens that might feel quite radical, slightly contrary, perhaps contradictory as well to your current belief systems. And a lot of our belief systems are propagated by our modern society, which again has so many beautiful attributes to it. But there's a lot of disconnect between where we came from and where we are going. And I know that many of you are like me, and we have concerns about where our world is headed. And it can be very anxiety inducing. We don't know what to do. We feel overwhelmed. We feel filled with self-doubt. We feel very small. We feel very disconnected. We feel isolated. Oh man, just thinking of all of that, it sort of constricts us in our body, and we start to sort of go like this and think, oh my goodness, I'm just going to curl up and close my eyes and hide until the threat has receded. And the fact is, what we need to be doing now is actually opening up, breathing, fully engaging with our lives, our gifts, our abilities, our calling, our purpose, fully opening up, maybe even really physically doing it in the body so that physiologically we can be coming into a state of the in tune with and activating the parasympathetic nervous system, because our deep, deep brain is terrified of the threat of visibility, of speaking, of really expressing our truth, our needs, our boundaries, and also, again, sharing these gifts that we have that might not have a quote unquote place in this very consciously masculine, solar conscious oriented current paradigm that we have. And that is not, again, to heap blame. I am not about blame, because everything out there is in here, in all of us. So my invitation to you is, when you feel challenged or constricted or feeling that you're in that space of scarcity or overwhelm, just pause, close the eyes, and inhale. Taking a nice deep inhale, because you're probably forgetting to breathe. And when we inhale, we automatically exhale. So inhale. And then we recognize, because when we recognize what's happening, what we're thinking, what we're feeling, then we can transform it. What isn't recognized cannot be transformed. So we call it out, we name it, we identify it, we recognize it, and then we find the opposite. So I call this the Piro practice, P-I-R-O, as in pirouette. And when we find the opposite, because the opposite always exists, what is the opposite of that overwhelm, that scarcity? The opposite of the overwhelm is feeling so grounded, so clear, so present. And the opposite of that scarcity is wealthy, is expansive, is receiving, is giving. That is the opposite of this illusion of scarcity, because we live in an abundant, benevolent, ever-giving, radiating universe. That is where we live all the time. And when we are disconnected from that, it is probably because we are doing it to ourselves for some reason. We have many reasons for doing that. It is actually very human to be doing that. It is very entertaining to a deep part of us to feel limited, to feel constricted, and to feel challenged. And in those limits, those constrictions, and those challenges is growth. Is the place where we can truly, fully expand and engage with our lives and our complete, full human existence. This existence is such a gift, even with what we see in the world, even with some of the aspects of our world that gets reflected back at us that we think how horrible that exists. Yes, it is horrible. But when we bring that into ourselves and look for it in ourselves, suddenly we take the reins. We take the reins of our lives, and we take the reins of the power of the universe that is waiting for us to harness it. And we can ride into this radiant economy, this quantum wealth consciousness that is calling to us, that is begging for us to engage with it, to revive it, to reclaim it, and to share it, to deeply receive, and also to abundantly give. Ooh, okay. I just got going on that one. And one other thing I was called to share about me is that most of my life, I have always had a beautiful life for which I am so deeply grateful, but I was not fully alive. I was very sad. I was sort of living these Russian doll Groundhog Day repeating patterns over and over again, very painful experiences. And now I'm just not afraid to die. And that contributes to me loving every minute of every day and experiencing true wealth on every level all the time, even when that is challenged. And it does get challenged on occasion. It absolutely happens. And I always look at it as an opportunity to employ the Piro practice. Pause, inhale, recognize, and identify the opposite. Okay, so I am going to launch into our presentation here. I'm going to share my screen and share some slides. And as I'm doing that, I won't be able to see the chat, but you are welcome to continue to engage there. And as questions come up, please feel free to pop them in. I have Sonia here, who is our leader of the Wealth Lounge on Facebook. It is a wonderful value addition to the lifetime access purchase of Quantum Wealth Consciousness. This event is free to watch all week. 48 hours after these interviews air, you can access them completely free, totally complimentary. I love giving these gifts to the world of the unbelievable insights and inspirations of these thought leaders. But if you do decide that you want to engage with this content on your own, I invite you to purchase lifetime access. You can do so on the www.quantumwealthsummit.com registration. Yes, Sonia invites you to come dive deeper in the Wealth Lounge. We also have Angela here, my amazing leader of my support team. So I just want to pause and express my gratitude to both these beautiful, beautiful people who help me be my best in the world, and especially this week as I bring forward all of this incredible information. Okay, so let's get going with these slides with Mother Money. 3 keys to reclaiming the feminine to magnetize wealth. So let's see how we're going to do this. Oh, we're going to scroll. Okay. So let's talk about the provenance of the term mother money. Where did that come from? Well, it was a liminal experience, and I was reflecting on it this morning as I was getting ready for this presentation, and I had to laugh because I realized that this information came through in June of 2021. And you'll realize the synchronicity of that and the deep, deep humor as I move forward with this, with these slides. But at the time, I was pregnant with my son, and I had this moment. And actually, a lot of times I'll have a dream, and then as I'm waking, I'll have some sort of information, a block of thought, or phrasing or words that come through as I'm coming back into waking consciousness. And this mother money experience happened with no dream and no real warm up. And I just woke up and I just heard mother money. And it really just came to me, not just through my head, but through my body. And it just felt like it was like pulling me. And I had to explore it. And of course, my waking conscious mind said, what in the world does that mean? That seems so weird. I don't really understand why I would think of money and the term mother as even having any relation whatsoever. So for the past 9 months or so, I have been exploring what this means. Mother money, what does this look like? What can I do to bring this forward into the world? What can I do to experiment with this, play with this? I love to encourage everyone to just have childlike curiosity. Whenever you're faced with anything that you don't understand, just employ the why and the what, especially the what, because that's a very empowering aspect to us. It really pulls us forward and makes us think, well, what can I do? What does this look like? What does this mean? And I really started to do my own research and also to weave in aspects of what mother money could mean for my clients and my students. And every time I brought forward this idea that maybe money has a maternal energy to it, I would get these unbelievable multi-layered reactions from people. There would often be this feeling of relief, feeling of, oh my goodness, I never thought of it that way. Or, wow, I feel so different about money thinking about it that way. Or, my goodness, what does that mean? Where does this come from? And so there have been some meditations that we have done, and this has contributed enormously to my clients and students making quantum leaps in their ability to receive and be visible in the world, in their work as entrepreneurs, artists, healers, whatever sort of expression they have, when they have begun to really interact with money as a maternal energy. It has changed so much. So let's dive in a little bit deeper and talk about the etymology of money. So etymology is the origin of words, and it is a mid 13th century term. So 1200, money, meaning funds, meaning anything convertible into money, coinage, coin, metal, and currency. And we're going to be doing some more synonyms as we proceed here, but this is some aspects of the etymology of money, and originally from moneta, a title or the surname of the Roman goddess Juno, whose temple money, beneath whose temple money was coined. A little typo there. So she had her temple in Rome, and beneath her temple was where they made the money. And so one of her names is Moneta. Moneta, Juno. She is the wife of Jupiter, who is the planetary deity who just loves to expand. And so she was his wife. So money was a way to honor her. She was a queen of the gods and had money being made in her image, in her energy, in the radiating light of her temple is where money was being created. So there we go, right there. Mother money from the goddess Juno. And the reason why I laughed so hard this morning, realizing I had this mother money experience in June, was because June is Juno's month. It is named for her. So there she was, giving me this information that is a part of the collective unconscious that we're all a part of, deeply woven into, and that we can access when we allow our conscious ego minds to take a back seat. This is not to discount our conscious ego minds, because they are incredible, but they have a place, they love to be directed. And so this is, for me, about uniting the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, uniting the mind and the body, and really allowing us to experience money and wealth in a new way. That money comes from a representation of the goddess Juno, Moneta, mother money. So here she is, Juno, with her peacock. There actually aren't a lot of images available, but I did love this one. I actually did a summit last May called Divine Instruments, and the peacock was the image, the symbol, the logo for that summit. And so here she is, Juno, mother money, coming back around for another turn with me here, quantum wealth consciousness. And you think of the peacock as just so regal, so beautiful, so resplendent. So that is one of her representations. And I'm sure a lot of people, again, inviting you to engage with the chat. If you have more information on Juno, I would love to hear about it. But here she is, the goddess, the wife of Jupiter. And I want to dive in now to this concept of the goddess and the feminine, because the feminine is a big part of what we're talking about here with mother money. And when I say mother and feminine, I want to really be very clear that I'm talking about the mother and the feminine on the archetypal level. So whatever you identify with as a physical gender, or whether or not you have given birth to human children, the mother and the feminine are archetypal energies that are available to all of us. And we all come from a mother, our mother, whatever our relationship might be with our mothers. But we also come from the mother. What other mother is there? Mother Earth, the mother. And originally, in early consciousness, there was a more lunar orientation towards our consciousness, and humans trying to really make sense of the world and their place in it. And they really paid attention to the moon, because that was what changed in the sky. And it gave them a sense of time. It gave them a sense of the seasons. It gave them a way to track what was happening and really understand what was occurring on the human material earthly plane based on what they could see in the heavens. The celestial information, the moon and the stars, gave them their orientation and gave them their concept of where they were in the universe and what was happening around them. It gave them so much information. And so it was a very matrilineal oriented understanding and consciousness of the world. And they felt just this unbelievable love and connection to the cosmos as a whole. This wonderful experience of life, death, and regeneration. It was an endless cycle. There was no end because it was an endless cycle. They were very in tune with, again, the mother, the goddess, and the feminine. And then about 5,000 years ago, there started to be a shift in this consciousness and a deeper understanding of the role of the sun. And with that, there was still a balance between the mother and the father, the lunar and the solar consciousness. So they existed together. The Godhead had both a male and a female aspect to it, the God and the goddess. And then in about 200 or so Anno Domini, I'm not great with dates, so you don't quote me on that, but there was a moment in the more modernized church where some of the fathers of the current structure of the patriarchal religion came into the temple and eliminated all evidence of the goddess. And that goddess had many names, Sophia, Rhea as well. Wisdom was her name. And the serpent was her symbol of life, death, and regeneration. And so Deuteronomy came in with his friends and desecrated all evidence of the goddess and rewrote a new story. And they wrote a very, very effective narrative called The Fall of Man, the myth of the fall. And guess who got blamed for the fall of man, for getting kicked out of the Garden of Eden? The goddess, Eve. And I think it's so funny that here in this room where I am conducting this presentation, I have some apples there on the wall. That Eve gave into the temptation of the serpent, the devil. They turned her serpent into the devil. They vilified the serpent and they vilified Eve and blamed the woman, the goddess, the feminine, for the fall of man, that this is the reason why humans were kicked out of the Garden of Eden and exiled to earth, exiled to live in this horrible material earthly plane. Punishment. It's punishment to be human. And according to this dogma, you need to seek redemption and resurrection through the vehicle of the church. And I was raised a Catholic. I am deeply grateful for my education as a Catholic schoolgirl and through my father. But this is a different lens, a lens that brings back online the past that we have forgotten, that was edited out. And even though it was edited out of these materials and some of our, tomes that we have, it doesn't mean that it was completely eliminated, because it exists on that deep, unconscious, collective plane, again, that is starting to resurge and come back and be rediscovered. We're excavating what's there, these ancient cultures, this ancient information that has just been waiting for us to reclaim it, revive it, receive it, and give it back, to experience true wealth. And again, church, for all of the incredible advances that it has contributed to in our modern society, past society, it really wanted to keep people poor. It wanted everyone to give everything to the church and have very little for ourselves, because we were supposed to be seeking this ultimate access into heaven. Well, guess what? Heaven is right here. Heaven is right here on this earth, in these bodies that we get to be in. We get to be spirit in a body right here, right now. And it is so beautiful, and it is so much fun. And there is just so much wealth available to us to play with. We get to do this work. We get to be here. We get to be in a body with both of these aspects in us: the goddess, the feminine, the god, the masculine, all of these seeming polarities. It's up to us to bring them together, to unite them, to weave them together into ultimate wealth. And wealth can mean so many different things to so many different people, but this is, again, the work that we get to do. So thank you so much, Juno, for being our mother money. So let's get in a little bit to money. Again, we covered the etymology of it, moneta, from the goddess Juno. Money, if you really think about it, really think about it, take a moment and just pause. We think, like, we use this term a lot: I don't have enough money, or yay, I have money, or I need money to do that, or I have to give money in order to get money, I have to give money in order to get that. Money is a metaphysical concept with a material representation, a physical representation. Money is just an idea. Money is just an idea, a physical product, byproduct of a concept of exchange of value. So originally there was a lot more trade that was happening, and it was a physical product for a physical product. So a goat for chickens. And then it needed to evolve. That transfer of value, that exchange needed to evolve. And so money became a way to represent what was being exchanged. And now, when you also take a moment to pause and you see these bills here in this image, we have so much more. We still have the bills, we still have the coins, we still have this physical representation, but it's even more of an idea, again, because we have these cards that represent how much money we have in a bank, which represents how much money we have in reserve that we can spend, that we can receive, a place where we can spend from and receive to. And that card then represents this idea of this money that is being exchanged, the value that's being exchanged. And so when you really think about money as an idea, then you start to realize that when you approach manifestation and moving into deeply receiving money and also abundantly giving money, that it's just your ideas, your mindset, your feelings around money. and what your feelings are around this metaphysical idea or concept with a physical representation. So it's all imaginary. It is all an illusion. And we humans created money. We use natural resources. You know, our coins come from the earth, the paper comes from the trees, and we decide what that means. We decide what that means, and we can always be creating money. We can always be creating money. We can always be creating wealth, because it's so much more than just money. And here we are with this word collage: money, noun, any circulating medium of exchange. And we have all of these words that mean money, that are synonyms of money: coin, property, riches, resources, cash, check, equities, specie, capital, belongings, funds, payment, valuables, asset, worth, change, and the big word, wealth. Wealth. So wealth, the etymology of wealth is the condition of well-being. So when we think of wealth, we might automatically think of money. And yes, money is an aspect of wealth. It's one of the, stays of the umbrella of wealth, but wealth is so much more than just money. And that isn't to discount money. We do need money to experience wealth, but wealth is well-being. Wealth is feeling healthy, feeling good in the body. And I want to circle back to on what happened when the goddess was eliminated from the Godhead and exiled as Eve, because that came to represent the earth and matter and the body. And the body is where the intuition lives. The body is where all of our genetic information exists. We get direct genetic information from 14 generations back. That's about 500 years. And so with this elimination and this exile of the goddess and the feminine, we came into this place of believing, again, that it was all about the logical, conscious, ego-driven mind, and that we needed to disconnect from the body in order to achieve some sort of spiritual evolvement, evolution, ascendancy, redemption, resurrection, where actually this is where the true wealth is, right here in the body, this beautiful body as it is. Whatever judgments you might have about your body, the wealth is right here. And I think that many of us can know that no matter how much you have in your bank account, how much or how little, if you don't have your health, if you don't feel well, if you're feeling ill or feeling sick or in pain, if you don't have your health, you don't have your wealth. It doesn't matter what's in the bank account. It doesn't matter how much money, because you are the matter. You are the matter. You are the material. You are the mother, the mater. Mater is Latin for mother. You are the material and the mother, the goddess, the feminine, the true wealth, as you are right now in this body, on this material plane. And this concept of well-being is totally available to you all the time. It, again, might get challenged. We might get pulled away from it. We might have interferences to it, but this is true wealth, which is another synonym of money. They go together, but I think, again, of wealth as being this overarching principle and money being one aspect of that wealth. So here we go. The condition of well-being, wealth. Wealth to me is happy, healthy, and whole. And when I say whole, I mean in full love, acceptance, and approval of all of you, your whole self, because whole is holy. Whole is holy. Whole is connected deeply to all aspects of you, connected to all aspects of you in deep receipt and expression of your gifts, the gifts that you are, as you are right now, always. Whole is, to me, connected between the ego-driven conscious mind, the psyche, and the soma, the body, the material, the spirit, and the soul, wholly connected to wealth, feeling well, feeling happy, healthy, and whole. And I love this cute little image with the coins in the little planter and that little sprout coming up like that. It's just so indicative to me of this concept of the condition of well-being. We can be planting the seeds in the wealth as it is right now, in the money, in the mother money, and let that blossom and sprout and flourish. Absolutely flourish. So here we go into the 3 keys. I'm just going to take a little sip of water as we move into what these 3 keys are. And I love keys in general, and I have a sort of a list that defines what I mean by intuition and ego, feminine and masculine. And, you know, I've said a few, I've mentioned a few terms here that I look at the feminine as living in the body, as the intuition. The masculine is sort of living more in this ego conscious, head driven space. And also that the feminine is more like a key. The intuition is like a key, and the masculine is more, the ego is more like a hammer. And a key sort of unlocks, and a hammer can be used as a tool or as a weapon. Our egos can be used as a tool to build a house or as a weapon to smash the windows. So it is up to us to, again, harness the power of our full, whole selves to connect all of these aspects of ourselves and really move ourselves forward and move our world towards a radiant economy. So 3 keys to reclaim the feminine, to magnetize wealth, to just not even be doing anything. That's the ego mind, wants to be doing all the time. The feminine aspect of ourselves wants to be more in the being space. And when we are being in our well-being, we are magnetizing the wealth, the good things, the happiness, the health, the wholeness. And when we do that, we move into a place of being able to share from overflow. Share from overflow our wealth, our money, our ideas, our gifts, our love. And so when we're always magnetizing the wealth, the good things, the happiness, the wholeness, then again, we're just radiating all of that goodness over and over and over again, and our fields can flourish. So here are the 3 keys. Number 1, retrieve. Retrieve. And you'll notice, and you'll probably notice going forward now, having experienced this presentation and this week, what word is in there at the very end? It's Eve. It's Eve. She's here in this word, retrieve, retrieve. And I did a presentation recently with Emer Stassen. She's one of my speakers this coming week on how we need to retry Eve. Give Eve a new trial, because the feminine is not to blame for all of this horribleness of being human and getting kicked out and punished by God. No, no, no. That is one story, and that has held a lot of weight over the centuries. But now we get to decide, we get to assign a new meaning to Eve and what she did. She really, I think, maybe knew what she was doing. We needed that knowledge from the tree, from the apples. And that was something that we needed to share. And I don't think that God kicked us out of the Garden of Eden, because Earth is the Garden of Eden. So retrieve, retry Eve as a concept, retrieve the myth, take a really good look at it, and retrieve this feminine aspect of yourself, this aspect of yourself that is deeply loving, is deeply loved, is connected to the goddess, and just has so much love to give. The mother always has more to give, no matter how many children she has her heart just grows. She just has more and more and more to give. And again, I'm saying mother on the archetypal plane, because mothers can get very depleted and sometimes they don't always seem like they have the love that they do. But the mother always has more and more and more, no matter how many children she has, no matter how many needs they have. And sometimes children need to meet their own needs, but the mother always has more love. The goddess always has more love. Eve has so much love to give us. She's just being waited. She's just waiting to be retrieved from inside. From inside. Where is the Eve in you that you feel like has been exiled, has been kicked out, has been persecuted? And this is a really big aspect of where a lot of women find themselves. Oh, and I'm feeling a pain in my heart speaking about it. And this happens often. I'm going to take a quick sip of water. Because our bodies represent the unconscious, our bodies remember. Our bodies remember things that our minds have no memory of. Our bodies remember things that happened 500 years ago, even more. This is where all the information is. And as I'm going to start speaking about the persecution of women that has been occurring since the myth of the fall was propagated into our patriarchal religions, it brings me to speaking of the witches and how the witches were killed and tortured and drowned and hung and buried alive for being wise, for being healers, for being outspoken, for being independent, and for having their own wealth, because all of those things made them very dangerous. It made them dangerous to the church and to organized society. And so they had to be eliminated. They had to be killed. And there was just a frenzy around persecuting the feminine, continuing to exile the feminine, and continuing to try and eliminate her. And so this has been deeply ingrained into our modern society that women are just not supposed to make money. We're not supposed to be wealthy. We're supposed to rely on our mothers and our husbands. And that is why I am here to help us all rewrite those instructions and to show up in the world as our full, whole selves and having retrieved our Eve. So number one of the 3 keys is to retry Eve. Number 2 is to believe, to deeply believe, and from a place where you're challenging some of your past beliefs and moving into new ones, believing that you are deeply worthy of your desires, deeply loving and loved. And I invite you to, as this week progresses, to try on new beliefs. Just borrow them. You don't have to fully adopt them. It doesn't have to be perfect right off the bat, but just take a moment and affirm that you believe. You believe that I believe that I am worthy. You can even use you in the second person. Address yourself in the second person. It can be a way to bypass the ego mind. You can say you believe that you are worthy. And it's just something to play with, just to try on new beliefs and to really kind of surrender to a new concept, a new interaction with wealth and money and well-being in general. And then the 3rd key here is to receive. And there's Eve in here too, if we didn't need to do the I after E, if it comes after C. But the sound of Eve is in here, and receive, deeply receive. And that we can think of as a very feminine way of approaching. But, you know, when we go like this with our wealth and our money, and we think it's all mine and I need to hold on to it because I don't know where more is going to come from. And I'm worried that people are going to take it from me and that soon it's all going to be gone. Oh my goodness, you can just feel the constriction happening in the body, the tight clenches. We need to open up Tune into the aliveness of the breath, of each breath, and deeply receive. Receive the love and acknowledgement of value represented by money, by Mother Money. Deeply receiving for our gifts in the world. However, whatever vehicle you might be using to deliver those, if it's your art, if it's your writing, if it's your podcast, if it's your work in the world with clients and students, with your children, whatever that might look like, you want to be receiving for that. And a lot of times it's us acknowledging our own gifts, our own deliverances. Sometimes we can't be recognized by the external when we aren't doing it for ourselves internally. So I want you to receive your own love, your own acknowledgement, and then that begins to move you towards more deeply being able to receive on a more material, also metaphysical plane with the metaphysical representation of money, which again is another way of looking at love and acknowledgement being given to you. And I also love to say, this has been a really big part of work with my clients and students, that when we receive money, it doesn't make you unspiritual. Actually, God wants us to be happy, healthy, and whole, because then we are better vehicles of God's love in the world. When we receive money for our work and our gifts in the world, we are honoring our ancestors, our direct genetic ancestors who have always worked to give us a better life. And here we are right now in this modern world with so much available to us, so much calling to us to live our best, most beautiful, most happy, healthy, abundant lives possible in order to honor our ancestors who worked so hard in many ways and likely underwent their traumas as well in order to give us all a better life, to live in a beautiful world that they had they didn't know what it looked like, but they knew that it existed. So right now we are being called to bringing forth that vision wholly in a healthy, happy, loving way. When we receive, then we can also be giving. So retrieve, believe, receive. Those are the three keys to reclaiming the feminine to magnetize wealth. And I just have one more slide here. Another way to think of believing is to fully surrender, to something bigger, something more beautiful, something deeply loving. This is that benevolent universe that we are all a part of, a true cosmos that is just expressing itself, constantly creating itself, making sounds and responding to those sounds, endlessly giving, endlessly loving, endlessly creating. We just need to truly believe and deeply surrender to our place, our engagement with, our participation with that constant creative cycle, because that's what's always happening. The surrender, the retrieval, the receiving, it's just over and over and over again, the receiving, the believing, the retrieving. It's all one big cycle happening over and over and over again. And you are an integral, incredibly important aspect of that cycle. Don't ever think that you are unimportant, because every thought, every breath, every one of us takes is absolutely imperative and deeply, deeply important and incredibly purposeful towards the continual, constant creation of this beautiful, loving, benevolent universe that just wants to give to us so that we can give to each other and deeply receive love. Woo. Okay, so I'm going to stop my share now and tune into our comments and see how that lands for everyone. What is coming up for you? What landed for you? What challenges do you have to some of those concepts? How does the idea of the goddess land for you? Oh, Puro. Shelly, Puro is pirouette, like pirouette, and pause, inhale, recognize, opposite. And I have a link that I can send with a graphic. It's also on my feed on Instagram at hgrantstyle. So you can find that there. Pause, inhale, recognize, and opposite. Very, very effective practice. Phenomenal, resonates so deeply, says Jessica. I'm so glad that landed for you. And Lauren Rose says, yes, holy saint, sane, healthy, whole. Lauren Rose, yes, I love that. Jan says, love does not divide, it multiplies. Jan, that is so beautiful. Oh my goodness, it does. It just, and the more it's expressed, the more it can grow, the more it can flourish. And Cindy says, remember though, they were women, they weren't witches. So the word witch is just another word for wise woman and healer. That is, and so this word witch has just been vilified, and a big part of my journey has been to just reclaim that woman is just another word for witch, and that I've just taken the power away from the word witch, because they were just women. They were just working to raise happy, healthy, whole families, to contribute to their communities. And again, that was deeply threatening to the church and to men, especially the women that were making money, had their own properties, and were outspoken. So it makes us very fearful of being outspoken, wise healers with our own means, our own wealth, our own property. Kania, what a beautiful name. This is beautiful. Thank you. Lauren says, merci. Shelly says, I love this. And Sarah says, I love your presentation and there's much truth and wisdom in it. I personally have an ambivalent relationship with money, and this will be helpful for me to resolve it. Well, ambivalence, you know, to me, that sounds sort of like a middle road to be starting from. That sounds like very fertile ground. Oh, and that was another thing I wanted to invite everyone to do this week, to practice using affirmative, fertile language. So really tuning into your desires with the I want. And it's so easy to start with I don't want or I don't like, and that's a great place to start. But then do the Puro, pause, inhale, recognize, opposite. What's the opposite of what you don't want? And that brings us into the affirmative and fertile language. It is deeply mind-bending and so much fun and incredibly beneficial, because the universe wants to give us what we want. But when we say, I don't want, it doesn't hear the negative. The unconscious mind does not hear the negative. It only hears what it interprets as the positive. So when you say, I don't want, it's actually hearing, I want. So go for the I want. And Saz says, thank you so much. You obviously are so passionate about this and transmitted your love through your energy. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you, Saz, for that reflection. Yes, Karen, the last one says surrender. Why is that? It's actually a slide from a previous presentation that I did, and it snuck in, and I just really felt like I had to keep it because it was slide number 13, and believe to me involves surrender. And I didn't dive into surrender as a concept in this presentation, but it related so directly. And because that slide was there, I just really wanted to hold on to whatever the bigger energies at play were with that. But I look at surrender as a very empowering practice. It's a very feminine, receptive practice where you can just fully say yes to absolutely everything. And a synonym for surrender is deliver up. So when you fully surrender to who you are and what you are here to do and your gifts and your inner divinity, then you can deliver yourself up and over to God, to really deeply believing and receiving. Saz says, the which part got me tearing up. I didn't know about this and had been wondering why I gravitated to learn about them and the whole new movement recently. Thanks for opening my eyes, Saz. I am so happy that I could help you with that. I think that there's so much more information becoming available. And again, Emer Stassen is one of our speakers this week. And all of our speakers have a very magical perspective on their work and what the wisdom that they're going to be sharing. And we're all women here in Quantum Wealth Consciousness. So I hope that this assists you in your journey and gaining even more information and really being in communion with what has happened. And as much as we are honoring our direct ancestors in receiving money and love and acknowledgement for our work in the world, our creations, we are also honoring the witches by reclaiming them instead of being fearful of getting burned ourselves and being exiled and being ridiculed. Now we can stand in our power, like the way that they couldn't. Oh God, I have chills. So yes, it is time. It is time for us all to rise, and all the ships, the rising tide raises all ships. And that to me is another aspect of this radiant economy that we are building and moving towards, being called to truly actively participating in creating. And that doesn't mean always giving of yourself without receiving, because that depletes us. We need to be in deep receipt of, again, that love and acknowledgement represented by money, which is when I trust creation happens. Yes, Michelle, beautiful. Chaomi says, what's your thought about one's soul contract is to experience the opposite of wealth, abundance? Ooh, Chaomi, I would love to dive into that a little bit. This gets into the constriction and the limitations that our inner divinity a part of us wants to experience. And you likely have some patterns and some beliefs that are at play here. There could be some trauma as well. But when and they might be shadow aspects of yourself as well. I do a lot of shadow integration work personally and in my work with clients and students. But it's really just, if you can retrieve that aspect of you that is getting something out of that experience and work with it and relate to it in a new way, recognize it and find the opposite. And this is going to be a practice for you. You might want to do some journaling. You might want to do some tapping. But really, there's something really wealthy and really beautiful in there for you to explore. Lauren Rose says, a witch is someone who is wise, has wit or cleverness and learning. Exactly, that wisdom. Jen says, thank you so much wisdom here, loving the Puro idea, and we'll put it into practice. Barbara says, thank you for this gift, receiving it and downloading it in my system. Yes, the nervous system might have some constriction here. It might feel like, again, being so challenged, and new ideas, new concepts, new beliefs are coming online. So be very, very gentle with yourself, because again, this is where the wealth is. It's right here in the body. It's right here, right now. Got goosebumps when you talked about witches. Loved it. Yeah, exactly. Says, my money situation has been so negative. I'm always repeating old scarcity-based patterns and need to surrender. Yes, Saz, surrender and ask the universe to work with me. And I would say, Saz, too, commit to the universe. Make a declaration. I will work with you now. And again, we look for the contradiction sometimes. We love the conflict. There's a part of us that's entertained, that's getting something out of it. And we often say, oh my God, I'm so horrible for doing that. No, that's the wholeness. It's not horrible. We're just making things a little bit more exciting and more challenging and more interesting, more dramatic. So when you can look at that part of yourself and again, relate to it in a new and loving way, you're going to experience some shifts, I can promise you. And again, this week, all of the amazing speakers will be a part of assisting you in that. Lena says, thank you. You are full of wisdom and light. Oh, I deeply receive that. Tracy says, though doing a little ET over the past year, I've addressed my scarcity. Yes, I'm guessing that's EFT, Tracy. Oh yes, unworthy. No, you are infinitely worthy, infinitely worthy. And surrender to me does not mean giving up. It means giving in, release. Yes, Jan, exactly. Giving in, delivering up, melting away that resistance. No more resistance, no more constriction. It might come up sometimes, but when it comes up, it's just an invitation to go deeper, go bigger. Yes, honoring the witches, says Lauren Rose. I mean, the lack of wealth. How do I let go of the fears? Just talked about Chaomi. That is a practice to do. I love to just start with listing out your fears and really getting super curious. Curiosity cures. So when you can get them out of your head, list them, really take a look at them, recognize them, and then find the opposite of the fears. What is the opposite of the fears? But you have to get them out of your head first. Handwrite them on a piece of paper, get them out, do an inventory, and then find the opposite of the fears. That's one of many, many practices. But again, this is going to be an ongoing practice for you probably. Even I have to deal with fear sometimes. And Shelly says, what a new concept for me to think of money as an idea. It is just an idea. It doesn't actually exist. It's just an idea. It helps me to think of my ideas as having value. Every idea, every thought, every feeling, every emotion, everything has value. Everything has value because everything has information in it. That's what money is too. It's an idea, it's information, it's currency. The same thing that is our thoughts, our ideas, our feelings, and our emotions. It's all the same thing. It's just a different representation of it. And thanks for these keys and putting together this freeing summit. Yes. Oh, I love that word. Freeing. Yes. Liberating, freeing, open up to yourself and your infinite worth. And Barbara says, thank you so much. Insightful and so apt for for me at this time. I hope apt for you and apt for everyone. Okay, so please continue to share any questions you have. We are moving towards the end of the presentation here, this original kickoff experience. And I do want to invite you to sign up for my free gift. I'm putting it in the chat. You can access it via my speaker page as well. On the summit website, you can get to from the event schedule page. I'm going to put the event schedule page in here as well. And definitely sign up for one of my free, I'm giving away 3 radical excavation sessions where we can go a little bit deeper with what we are talking about here. I love to work with artists, creatives, healers, and especially visionary entrepreneurs because we are the ones who are the architects of a new paradigm where it's not one over the other. It's not one against the other. It's all of us together. And I have gifts in certain areas and I have significant deficiencies in others. And so when I focus on my gifts and I show up as the best that I can, then I am able to support other people in doing the same in all ways. And so I would love to connect with you for one of these sessions. Again, I'm giving away three of them. So you can access my speaker page or you can just go straight to that type form. And we are going to just have a truly amazing week together. And I also want to invite you to consider signing up for lifetime access. There are going to be some opportunities as the week goes on. It's currently at the early, you can't fill it in the type form. Oh, okay. Angelica, go to my speaker page. I will put that in the chat as well. We are going to have an amazing week here. Oh boy. I'm sorry, Angelica. I can't do the typing right now. but I see you here, and we will get you. Go to the event schedule. Can you go to the event schedule? Go to the event schedule, go to my speaker page. The type form is in there. You can't do that too. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Saz and Angelica, you will get the type form. Go to the speaker page. And the link is there. I don't know why it isn't coming through. That's Mercury is probably doing some trickstery things with us. Can't wait to connect with everyone. Yes. So we still have the early bird rate for the lifetime access. And that goes up to, it's at 77 now. It goes up to 99 tomorrow. The Wealth Lounge is just an amazing experience with Sonia leading the helm over there. And also later today, we have Sam Garcia, as well as Sonia Highfield for our interviews. And we have Britton LaRue tomorrow. Oh my God, just so many amazing, amazing people. We have Jocelyn Mercado, Jocelyn Starfeather live from Egypt on Friday, as well as some incredible pre-recorded videos, interviews that will be coming up. Oh, Sonia has the type form. Thank you, Sonia. And most of the interviews this week are this similar live format. So I'm going to be showing up with the speakers. You can ask your questions, engage, and just benefit from this immediate inspiration and insight. I love all of the wisdom and just amazing messaging of these speakers. And it is absolutely my delight to have hosted all of you this morning. Thank you again for being here, for signing up for Quantum Wealth Consciousness. Thank you for everything that you brought, all of the energy that you brought to this moment here in time, opening the doors to this summit this week. I just honor all of you. I'm so grateful to all of you, whether you were here live or watching the replay. Thank you so much for your incredible energy, your love, the gifts that you have been bringing into the world, and all the gifts that you will be bringing into the world. Thank you for being the wealthy, abundant, beautiful soul that you are, and connected to me now and the energy of this summit. And thank you so much to my guides and my ancestors and all of the benevolent spirits at play in inspiring me to create this summit, and especially in guiding me to put together this presentation, Mother Money, 3 Keys to Reclaim the Feminine and Magnetize Wealth. I retrieve, I believe, I receive. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the summit. I will see you all as we move forward this week with these incredible speakers. I can't wait to host you in the chat, welcome you all. And I hope that you will also take a moment to share this summit with your friends, your family, anyone who you feel like would benefit from this information. Let's all rise together and express and truly receive and just engage with the wealth that is here and available to all of us, ready to be delivered and received and also given. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until the next, so much love to you. Mwah. Bye, everyone. Thank you.